Well, to say the game against Newcastle, or better yet, the 180 minutes against Newcastle was disappointing from an Arsenal perspective, would be putting it nicely. You have to be gracious in defeat. Everything I've wanted to see across the two legs from my team, I saw it with Newcastle. Whether it's the Tenalis, the Gomaras, is evidently the Isaacs and Gordons, or, respectfully, the Jacob Murphys. Whether you're the star players for Newcastle, or you come off the bench, or you're one of the respectfully lesser names, they did it. Newcastle is a fan base that I feel, I know social media, they do a lot of nonsense, but I think Newcastle fans are quite respectful. I think it's a big club. I think considering what's gone on with Mike Ashley, they deserve an owner and a management and just something to believe in, week out. They've got a trophy drought of their own. They've got wounds from being in a final of their own in this very competition that we went out of. So congratulations to Newcastle. Best of luck. Double best of luck if you have to play Spurs. Make sure that they don't win at Wembley, Newcastle. And I'll be a Geordie for 90 minutes. So yeah, big up to Newcastle. Now, I think you have to break down things or forget all of that. Really and truly, I know I'm nothing but a servant to you lot. I appreciate you lot that subscribe, that watch me, that comment, that engage, however frequently you do it, innit? I'm just a servant to my community as an Arsenal fan. But every now and again, I just want to get my thoughts out there, really and truly. And I find that this is a bit of therapy where the football club's concerned. And I think it's a game where obviously it's disappointing. We all know that's a trophy that, you was 180 minutes away from a final at Wembley. It's a big disappointment. You have hope for the Prem and the champs. A big up you lot if you genuinely think we're winning one of those trophies, if not both. I hope to God you lot are right. I think it's a fallacy. I said at the start of the season, I was pessimistic on trophies. I said the Prem is improbable. The Champions League is impossible. But as long as you have a mathematical chance, I guess you have to fight. Now, for me, I would say for the ownership of this football club, yeah, it would be good if you just said we're just trying to get top four. Because you look at the summer, you look at January, we're just trying to get top four. And it's either negligence, incompetence, naivety, or just poor, or all of it, really and truly. I don't care about this whole, and I'm not asking us to sign Mbappe and all of this, and I'm well aware the market's gone. You can talk about market opportunities and, maximizing the market, and we need this special player, and none of these players convince, etc., until you're blue in the face. You've been second, arguably, for the last 2 years. You're second now. And there is a bunch of positive statistics and where the Prem is concerned, and we did get to a semi-finals and we are still in the champs. I can hear that. But you really look at that squad and really think there's no additions that can be made, even a little project player, whether that's a striker or winger, that, because at this moment in time, I'm having mad thoughts. I'm slightly thinking we ain't even replace Eddie Nketiah. You've drawn as much blood out of that Kai Havertz stone as you can find. Let's be honest. Kai Havertz was brought in to be a midfielder. He went up front because of Gabriel Jesus' injury, and he did quite well. It was a short-term fix that's become a long-term solution. Personally, I feel I'm watching the same thing week in, week out. In terms of we're having half chances, we're not able to take them. It's not really making sense. You're seeing Kai Havertz pulling out wide, so there's no one in the box. And I'm not making this a Kai Havertz crusade because he didn't make himself the number 9. And when you look at the stats, he's actually done, performing a lot better than everyone, scored a lot more goals than all of the majority of the other attackers, which for me inlines the problem. There's no way you're going to win a trophy with Kai Havertz leading the line. I'm not saying he can't play a part. There's very few games like the 2 legs against Newcastle that sum up why you need clinical players. You gave Isaac an inch, he took a yard. Gordon ran riot. Murphy, who I think obviously when you got them two in your front line, he's never going to get his flowers, but also stood up to be counted. Tactically, Eddie Howe done us. Like, he done us. He always does us. He done us, whatever. The mentality, the tactics, everything was spot on from a Newcastle perspective. Just tell us you want top 4. Because you don't finish 2 points off City, do what you did in January, where none of the summer signings are starters or first names on the team sheet, even with the current landscape at Arsenal. There's no way you can't find a player in January. And I know you can because you tried to bid 40 million for Ollie Watkins. If you've got 40 million for Ollie Watkins, you could either pivot and find a project striker or find an inside forward. You can tell me what player would have got until you're blue in the face. That's not my job. My job is as a fan. There's no way you can see our attacking options. And the fact that a young 17-year-old Ethan once again come off the bench and just look competent is better than everyone. We're signing up for this. This is happening week in, week out. I think from a tactical point of view, Mikel Arteta, the high line was getting exploited. And in those moments, like in the Cups, I need to see something from you, Mikel Arteta. You're making subs really with 15 minutes to go, give or take, excluding the Ethan injury, which, again, a lot of people naively assume nobody else is going to get injured as a reason to not buy anyone. People are talking about the fixture calendar list becomes a bit more, less intense for us. It does not make sense. The way they've built these attackers, is this attacking line is not good enough. Whether Saka's there, whether you've got a young Ethan, that enlightens the issue. Martinelli's injury or the injuries we've had merely highlights what we failed to do in the summer. We said that if everybody's fit and you don't bring in at least two attackers or one at the very minimum, we're in trouble. And again, I can't I've got past the point of blaming individuals and all of this kind of thing. We're seeing the same things week in, week out. For Mikel Arteta, in those crucial moments, I need a bit more from you. And you've shown me at this moment, unfortunately, you're a good manager, but you can't get over the line where winning silverware is concerned. I have to say the players, none of you turned up, or the vast majority of you didn't. You can't say you didn't know what to expect, because we knew we had a deficit to overcome. You would have thought Newcastle was the team that had to define the odds yesterday. They, for 180 minutes, have been better than us in all fragments, individually and collectively. A lot of you have played at St. James's Park. A lot of you know what St. James's Park is about on the best of days, much less the semi-finals. None of you were with it. I don't know if you're tired, you're shell-shocked, you just played shit. Either way, it wasn't there. I'm not here to get at, we're in this together. David Raya's effed it up with that mistake. Saliba, shown he's human. You can count on one hand, not that they haven't made mistakes, but where they've let this team down. Gabriel wasn't the best, wasn't as worse as them. Neither was Timber and Lewis Skelly, but we're all in this. And what I would say is, I'm going to allow the defenders and David Raya to back the defensive unit a bit, because how many times have they bailed us out by just doing their jobs and also doing the attackers' jobs? How many times? And when is the attackers bailing them out? It was all fun and games beating City. That's an outlier. The stuff I want to see in that City game beyond the obvious. I know we're not going to win 5-1, but winning your individual and collective battles, being galvanized, being difficult to lose, wanting to, whether we win or lose or draw or whatever the result is, you're going to take it over our dead bodies. That needs to be the minimum. That is an exception at this football club. It's not good enough to, on a couple of occasions, be really good. You have to go to the next level. I know you're a good team. You've been in the semi-finals. You're not getting embarrassed in the champs. You're second. It's now about getting over the line. And the manager, the players, the ownership, everybody's not doing enough. You don't get in a situation like this with no sporting director, not maximizing the two summer markets. Fans can fall for the market opportunities, and there's no one to sign and powder dry. And as I said, in the summer, I said it in the summer and I said it in January, you cannot do, when we're in moments like that against Newcastle, we tried. Market opportunity, failed bids, get warmed up. Just tell us you want top four. Clearly the club want top four, and anything else is a bonus if we're able to bag that, if I'm honest with you. I've heard Mikel Arteta say at the beginning and end of 2024 and in the build up to the City game, we've got one of the smallest squads. We came into this season with 3 or 4 players coming back from a long-term injury, a squad of 19 competing on 4 fronts. We know we're not going to win every trophy, but just in terms of how you enter the season, it's incompetence, which just tells me top 4 is the priority. If you can bag a league title and all of that, it's all great, really and truly. And I'm not trying to be critical or negative or positive. I'm just trying to be honest, really. It's a fallacy. Arteta, as I said, you need to be a bit more flexible, especially in those high pressure moments. It's like you die on your sword in that. Who am I to criticize the manager? But it's like everything you've planned in the game, that's what we're doing from start to finish. And as a team, we play at the same tempo. You knock it left, you knock it right. There's a bit of half chances, even the Odegaard chance, which he should have done better. But let's be honest, it's hitting the outside of the post. And then you look, I'm specifically trying not to mention is that for beyond the obvious, because you saw the difference. And I don't even think it's fair on Kai Havertz. We shouldn't have bought Kai Havertz. He should not be leading the line. But at the end of the day, he's one of our more reliable players, which tells you the issue of to how we built the squad, really and truly. I can't lie, manager, especially in the final third, there needs to be a healthy bit of randomness, because I know you're a madman in a good way. You try and, out-coach the opposition, and 9 times out of 10 it works. But against Eddie Howe, it didn't. And mainly I'm on to Mikel Arteta for that high line. It was getting exposed. The way, again, from an Eddie Howe perspective, the way they were setting up traps for the press, and it led to a couple of mistakes, because Raya's obviously the one that's made the mistake. Saliba got away with one. And this is why I said the players as well, because start of the game, man are slicing the ball. People are going for headers half-heartedly. People are overhitting and underhitting passes. Mentally, for whatever reason, man, them weren't prepared. You weren't prepared for St. James's Park. You weren't prepared to define the odds. But it's all nice. It's all cozy. We'll keep ticking along. We start winning 1-2 games. We're back again. Somehow the positive toxic dons will flip this into, we can focus on the trophies. And then word to Patrice Evra, unfortunately, it's a next season thing. I still maintain there's a lot to be excited about at this football club. But in terms of getting over the line, The club have not done enough for us to win any trophies or do anything beyond the point of what we've done the last 2 to 3 years, including now. So this is what is going to happen. And again, it's the feeling of regret. I know the players are going to feel regret. I know Arteta and the coaching staff are. I don't think the ownership are, because you're still on course to get top four. It's negligence, it's gross negligence, whatever you say, for a team that's trying to compete for a trophy, to have no sporting director at this football club, to be relying on two teenagers as the difference makers, shooting ourselves in the foot. And we'll be here and people want to apply context and all of this jazz, but it is what it is. We'll have good moments. I don't expect to beat Man City 5-1, but we'll do well against the top six. There'll be a bunch of positive records. We'll flirt with the league trophy. We won't get disrespected necessarily in the Champions League, but there'll be nothing to show for it. And I think too many people are just we've got no divine right to win trophies. Please don't sit here and think I think that, but we're not really giving a good go at it. We're not controlling the controllables on and off the field. We're not really and truly. And I think some people are just happy to be part of it, and we go again just because we used to be even more of a joke than we were now. I wouldn't say we're a joke now, but there's a lot of those connotations. Like, you need a striker, you need a winger. Fair enough, you can't get the household names. Really and truly, and I say this every week, really and truly, with what we see, whether we win, lose, or draw, was there really no players out there to improve us? They've signed up for these results. And I do feel sorry for Mikel Arteta in that regards. But Mikel Arteta, I do think you've engineered your own issues as well. I think the Cronkies are doing madness. You're doing madness. The players are doing madness. We've got third year of a title race now. Kai Havertz is leading the line. Kai Havertz is one of our more consistent players. Young Ethan is the one that we're all looking for, excluding everyone else. Trossard and Martinelli, we don't really know what we're getting. And Martinelli's now added to the injury list with the Gabriel Jesus's, the Sakas. Nobody even talks about Tomiyasu anymore. The list goes on, really and truly. As I said, my defenders let me down. Everyone let me down. My defenders let me down. But how many times have they got us out of jail, either doing their jobs as defenders or making the difference on the football pitch? The one time they probably need to be bailed out by attackers, the players ain't got it. It's not good enough to be half on it. And people sit here and tell me I'm harsh. It's not that I'm harsh. I don't care about what Arsenal are good at. I love that. I don't care about what Arsenal's good at. It's what we're bad at. It's what we need to improve. That's what gets us to the next level. We've clearly stagnated. And it goes back to the summer. I can't really waffle about the summer or January, because at this moment, it is what it is. Whatever you lot have to do in Dubai, go do what you're doing in Dubai. All you can do is, until it's mathematically impossible for you lot to win the league, keep it, just keep being a talking point at the very minimum. Not that I think Liverpool are not going to win that. Best of luck to Newcastle. Champions League is more blind hope. And this is what I mean, respectfully to Newcastle. If you can't be sure of a certain level of performance at St. James's Park, somehow that was worse than we played worse than we did at the Emirates, which I was very disappointed with. If I can't have real confidence of you doing that at St. James's Park twice this season now, if I can't have confidence, and they've bopped us 3 times now, but twice at St. James's Park, not really filled with confidence going to Anfield, how are you going to talk about going Bernabeu and this, that, and the other? And I understand football captures emotions, but I think some fans lack common sense, man. But it is what it is, man. We have no divine right to win. And there is another reality where we come from behind. Obviously, we're in a final. There's also another reality where Newcastle score 2 goals, and I look at it differently. You lot know me. I'm all about the performance. As long as, we controlled all the controllables, we made it difficult, all the things I've spoken about now, I might still speak about them, but I'm speaking about it in a different light. And we weren't the best team on the pitch and they were the better men. Fair enough. You shake the Newcastle's hands and players' hands and you keep it moving, which is also what you got to do regardless. But then I look at my club, my players, there's too many regrets. Young Ethan playing in the semi-final by default better than all the attackers. Martin Odegaard, my captain, getting hooked in a crunch time moment. Thought you turned it around against City. Not really been on it. Declan Rice, I'll allow you, overran in midfield. Thomas Partey, so overran. Gabriel Timber and Lewis Skelly, slightly better in the defense, but horrible. Nobody can chat shit about Saliba and Raya. They can get at him. They've done the job for us 9 times out of 10, but they didn't yesterday. Poor across every aspect. Every aspect, from the management to the, for me with Mikel Arteta, it's more so of how you've built the squad. It's changing things when things are going wrong. It's having no plans for that high line and how they're setting up issues in our press. I don't mind the fact that we're not scared to go long, but you're going long against men mountains in Newcastle, playing a different kind of system. Kai Havertz, there's only so much the man can do. And yeah, Kai is not the most eye-catching of footballers, and I don't think he should be leading the line. I don't think we should have bought him, but I'm seeing him run out wide. I'm seeing him try to fight. He just hasn't got it. we're making short-term solutions, long-term options, and then we're surprised. As you know, I feel like a broken record week in, week out. I'm saying the same thing, you know, whether we win, lose, or draw. Yes, City's an exception, but I'm saying we're having a bunch of shots. We're not really creating. And let's be honest, Odegaard shots off target is hitting the outside of the post, which Odegaard should be doing better, but it's hitting the outside of the post. Like, we're creating minimal chances, don't have clinical players to take them. We've got players that across a 10-game period, 3-4 of them, they're going to play out their skin. Then they're going to be so-so. Then they're going to be shocking. Again, if you want to be a team that just gets fourth and gets to a semi-final on paper, especially when the wounds are healed in May, that's all we're going to see, semi-finals. We've got enough. But you see, if you want to get over the line, which I think the players and Arteta do, until something changes, Mikel Arteta and the players have to go back to the drawing board and above. How on God's green earth have you not signed anyone in January? Whether Mikel Arteta was suggested players and you didn't want them, whether there was no money, I don't know. Powder dry, all of this stuff. And then we're going back to what we said. Next summer is going to be pivotal. And I will say this season, it is what it is. But I'd go after, if Isaac's your one, which I don't think you're going to get, try as hard as you can to sign him. If Sesko's your one, do whatever. Nico Williams, this one. Zubimendi, this one, that one. Don't sit here and tell me we tried, there's no other alternatives. Because if we was a prime City side, a prime Arsenal side, a prime Chelsea side, prime Real Madrid side, where you've got all those stars and competent players, then if you sit there and tell me there's no players that can improve us and market opportunity and all those buzzwords, I would say fair enough. Really? I would even say fair enough defensively, beyond just bringing in a versatile option. You got Lewis Skelly, you got Calafiori, you got the two centre halves. Have you not noticed? Saliba's been growing his hair and he's looked a bit shaky at times, and Gabriel's had to carry them. But on a serious note, Benjamin White, Timber, I'd say fair enough. Really telling me there's not a midfield at attacking mid. You're really telling me there's not wingers, there's not a striker. And I know you could have brought in a project player because for whatever reason or not, you lot were trying to buy that Norwegian lad Nepan. It's a shock. It's not a shock, really and truly. It is shocking. So you lot can come out with buzzwords. You can show me the positive statistics. Unfortunately, I see what my club is doing. Even if we win a trophy, it will be in spite of those above Mikel Arteta. And then Arteta's got issues he needs to address. The attack is lifeless. You're relying on poor players. You haven't necessarily spent the money in the best possible way, you know, even in the January. We're hearing there's no money, and I think there's been no money. And what I mean by that is there's cash reserves, but we're not spending. It's stacked notes and that broke. If you found 40 million to buy Watkins, you could have done something. You didn't want Tell. I'm not saying these are going to be the answers. I'm just saying everybody's in this. But yeah, man, it is what it is, man. This attack's here to stay. It's another trophy that goes knocking. Again, Premier League, you need Liverpool to fall off a cliff, and simultaneously Arsenal need to be perfect. I hope the footballing gods bless us where the Champions League is concerned, but I don't even want to get into that. It's just a mess, man. You know what? You lot just go to Dubai. It's probably best that we don't watch Arsenal anytime soon, man. It is what it is.
As always,